Welcome to Collaboration Conversations. I'm your host, Regina Partain Bergman, and I am excited today to bring you this group that are joining me today, my guest co-host and the panelists that she has brought. I think this is going to be an amazing show. I love just the energy of these before we even get started. So let's dive in. First of all, let me just say that I am the CEO of Bridgeport Strategy. And as your host today, I want to introduce my guest co-host, Dr. Mag Atem. Welcome, Dr. Mag. How are you today?
Thank you, Regina. Thanks for having me. I am doing amazing, and I'm
Awesome.
excited to be here.
Awesome. Let me tell folks a little bit about you. I'm going to keep it kind of short because I really want them hearing from you. But Dr. Mag helps corporations or corporate organizations identify operational inefficiencies and solve them one strategic project initiative at a time. I love that because so oftentimes strategy is missing in organizations. We get into the tactical and frequently forget the strategic elements of things. So I really love what you're doing. Please tell us, Dr. Mag, a bit more about your journey getting to this place in life and who you serve and why.
Thank you very much. And that's an excellent question. So, I am the founder and CEO and managing director of Elim Technologies, a Charlotte based consulting firm. And we focus on helping companies identify their operational inefficiencies. We all know that failed operations cost companies up to 20 to 30% of their budget. And so, once they're able to identify these bottlenecks, they are now able to come up, we help them come up with solutions, help them implement them. And these are not just solutions from the top of my head or the top of their heads. We actually do strategic data analysis and use innovative project management to implement the solutions so they ensure success. We've seen quite a lot of success with the companies we've consulted with, and even some of the initiatives that we're currently working on right now. And so, where I started, my background is in project management and engineering. And I actually consult for a large hospital system, working on their projects. I started with pharmacy and then went to emergency services, um, and just helping them crunch the data and make sense of the data to find out, again, operational inefficiencies, where those bottlenecks are, how can they improve their systems to go from reducing the time the patient gets to see the doctor. And then I also consult with healthcare IT companies, just helping them streamline their DevOps processes so that as they transition from hiring 20 people to be able to do systems engineering, they can be able to streamline that, and hire maybe 5 or 4 people, DevOps engineers that can actually automate their pipeline. And so that brings efficiency, automation, and also they're able to come to their resolutions a lot faster. And this, because it's my passion, I don't feel like I'm going to work. I'm always looking for those problems to solve and always looking for a way that I will leave my customers better than I found them. And so, in my scope and space, as I have worked towards developing this business and working, some of the things I'm starting to do are just reaching out to communities to be able to train women so they can be able to comfortably come in this IT space. And one initiative we're currently running is the Women in Data Science Conference in Cameroon this July, just to be able to take data science to the women in the marketplace on the streets and break it down so that they can see how they can be able to fit in and be able to join the bandwagon. I don't want to be the only woman in the IT room. And so I need other women to be able to join me. So that's just one of our interesting initiatives internationally. But thank you so much.
Wow. Wow. Very impressive, my friend. Very impressive.
Thank you.
And I don't blame you for wanting to be the only woman in the IT room. I love how you are working with others though to bring this together. That's awesome. And I'm sure we will get into that more later as we move forward.
Yes.
So thank you. Dr. Mag, would you please introduce our panelists today and have each of them share a bit about their journey, who they serve, and why.
Absolutely. So with me today, I have phenomenal humans. I'm telling you, when they start talking, you'd know why I said that. With me, I have Mrs. Effia Ray, and she is an executive in the energy and oil and gas space. She is loaded with wealth of information. She's been in that space. She is solving problems, putting together strategy in the oil and gas and energy space. And because it's ladies and gentlemen, I'll start with her, and then I'll go to Dr. Gaffison. With Dr. Gaffison, when I said I was really interested in taking this data science to the world, he provided the shoulders for me to stand on. He is a phenomenal professor at the university, CEO of Lead Missions International, and he has been taking this training across the world, just training people, young people, professionals to be able to take the bandwagon. And so, without me spilling all the beans, I'll hand it over to Mrs. Efiare.
Well, thank you for having me. And my God, you just moved that goalpost one more time. Crazy goalpost. Okay, so I don't know what I'm a geologist, I'm a petroleum engineer, I'm also finance and all of that. I just sometimes I say I don't like education, but it looks like I do. Oil, oil and gas or energy is my passion. I'm really passionate about it. And being an engineer to me, just like Max said, Dr. Max said, working for her, going to work is like she's not working, is what she loves. So being an engineer for me is not work. It's something that, like blood that flows through me. I love it. I acted. I sometimes feel like I was born. It was born in me. Like I acted at work, at home, everywhere. So I've been in the oil and gas industry for 22, 23 years. I started off as a geologist, and then I got curious. What does a petroleum geologist do? And so I hope we have time because I can just keep going. And so then I
We're
just
good.
okay, decided I would be a petroleum engineer. So just being curious, I didn't even mind taking all those extra courses to be able to be a petroleum engineer. So I did my master's. I have a master's in petroleum engineering, and like that was not enough. I decided to do an MBA and starting in the oil and gas industry. I wanted to start from ground up. So I worked offshore, even though I'm a reservoir engineer. I'm not really supposed to be offshore, but I worked offshore. I enjoyed it because it helped me understand what was really going on. And so when I'm talking, I know what I'm talking about. And so I moved on to the executive level where I'm not going to call companies names because I don't have to. Where I started working as director of corporate reserves or reporting to SEC. So, that's a whole different level. It's not just your engineering, it has engineering, it has to do with leadership, it has to do with management. It's just everything come together. When you're working with SEC, it's no joke. You have to make sure you're reporting correctly. And I do enjoy that. I do enjoy the fact that I have the opportunity to work with everybody in the company. So there's a whole lot of collaboration over there, talking, understanding what other people do, getting feedback, giving feedback, exchanging knowledge, and then brainstorming. So I really do love that. And then I thought, we could take this to another level. I'm not going to stop there. So I decided, okay, there's this whole new energy transition thing. It's not new, but it's kind of new to America. Oh, people are starting to open their eyes to it. I said, I'm taking that one more level. Instead of people talking about oil and gas being obsolete, that's never going to happen. People live and die. Living things, going to be decomposition, and there's always going to be oil and gas. But our problem here is demand is more than supply, and we all know that energy is one of the most or the most used resource. So we need to find a way to be able to supply. And then comes the SDG, the Sustainability Development Goals. How do we make this sustainable? And then comes green energy, or how do we live clean life, like clean energy. So then I thought, you know what, instead of us making all this talk about oil and gas going out of fashion, being obsolete. Why don't we just be real? It's not going to happen. We're going to do the carbon claim. We're going to do our carbon footprint and then clean the energy. Why don't we just clean whatever is happening in the oil and gas industry and then bring in other innovative technology? We already have renewable energy, but we need innovative technology to take care of other issues that we still have with renewable or clean energy. For example, solar panels or solar energy or wind energy. Yeah, we can use that. Now the problem comes, how do we dispose of these things? How do we dispose of the battery? How do we dispose of the wind blades? How can we make it cleaner? So oil and gas companies can work with bring in innovative technology and we make energy clean for everyone. It'll be better and more sustainable if there's that collaboration as opposed to fighting against
Yes.
another, I'll stop there. Can keep going.
I love it. I love it. And you touched a real spot for me, Effie, because my former husband, my husband passed away in 2014, but he was in oil and gas, from the time he was 20, or more. And so I have a real soft spot for oil and gas.
It's an amazing space. I'm doing a doctorate now in energy, focusing there.
Uh-huh.
What I just told you, trying to bring that together because somebody
I
has to.
love that. I love that. Yes, it's time. It's past time. Absolutely. Awesome. So now we get to hear from Madison. Is that right?
Yes, Dr. Gaffington, go ahead.
Well, it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you so much, Georgina, for having us, and so good to be in the midst of the ladies. When the ladies are all over the place, and great ladies, powerful ladies are like you. But my name is Madison Gaffison. My daytime job is being a university professor, but I'm very, very involved in leadership development and training aspects of my life. So I began my life probably in the healthcare. I've been a dental assistant, a dental technician, and all of that. Then I, laboratory technology too, and then I moved into the nonprofit, and then I came back into technology. That's where I did my master's and PhD in information systems. And right now, I serve my students by doing research and helping them develop the skills that they need to get out there and get the job of their liking, especially in the area of information systems and data analytics. And but like I said, I am very, very passionate about leadership development. And in fact, if you ask me today, I look at my involvement in the different areas that I'm involved in more like a leader that serves in higher education, that serves in scientific research, that serves in the community, and that serves in my family, leading my wife and our children and all of that. But I look at myself like a leader, if you ask me, because everything rises and falls on leadership.
Right.
Great nations are great nations because of leadership.
Amen.
Great companies are great companies because of leadership. So I help companies and individuals to be able to raise their leadership lid so that they can take their organizations to that next level. Because the difference between where the organization is and where it could be, the difference between where you and me are now and where we could be, it's a growth gap. And that gap can be filled with an understanding of what leadership can mean for us as individuals and leadership for our teams, so that we, working together, we can achieve the strategic intents and the tactical intents that we really want to achieve. So that's really what I do day to day, whether with my students or with the companies that I consult with.
Excellent. Excellent. One of the themes that I heard throughout all of your introductions is collaborating at the community level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we should kick this off. What that's like, to collaborate at the community level. So let's assume folks don't have any exposure to that. They don't really know how to do that. What do you do to start that level of collaboration? How do you get that going at these community levels that you've been successful in doing? And so, Effie, for you, that community level has been oil and gas and other energy things, right? Dr. Mag, yours is that whole IT area. Madison, I need a little more clarity on exactly the community level for you, but I hear it in there. And your community level is also the community of the organization that you're working with. It might not be the broader community sense, but it's that community of the organization that you're working with on the
Yeah.
leadership. Would that be correct?
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay. So
So,
feel free to dive in. I want to hear from all of you. How
okay.
does that get started? How do you start that collaboration at the community level?
So let me start. I would like to start. Like I said, I'm really passionate about what I do. So for me, education is really big. Collaboration would start from educating people. And education doesn't really necessarily mean sit in a class. It could be as simple as just knowledge sharing at work, bringing different groups together, geologists, engineers, accountants, putting everyone together so they get to understand why we are all here. They get to understand each department, what they do. And then from understanding what each department does, then we get to understand what do we do to achieve the company's main goal. And then there comes collaboration. What can I do to be a piece of this cake? How can we make this cake whole? How does my piece fit in? So that's all collaboration, right? So
Hmm.
education, I'm sorry.
I just said yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So education is number one. It's really powerful, and which again, like I said, sharing knowledge, right? Technological innovation, Dr. Madison, Dr. Gavson, I'm sure you can agree with me, right? We're in that space where technology is the thing. And it's not just technology, it's innovative technology. Because we
Hmm.
already have the technology, but that's outdated. How can we bring in more technology to be able to get to where we need to be? For example, in the oil and gas energy, what kind of technology do we need to make energy clean or clean energy cleaner and sustainable as well as economical? Because no
Yes.
company is going to put money into something they're not sure they're getting anything out of. So
Right.
how do we make them know, or how do we make them feel you're not wasting your time? You're not wasting your money.
For your money. Yeah.
Exactly. You're going to put in money, and at the same time you put in money, you're going to get out money. At the same time, you're going to make this energy sustainable and affordable.
Mhm.
So it's
Yes.
very important if people are not educated, and this education is not just lower level employees, it goes all the way to upper management. You'll be
Yes.
surprised how many CEOs don't even understand any of this, but they need to be educated. And that's where HR comes in. How can HR help us? We educate HR, or they get educated, and then they help educate everybody. A company leadership, super, but there's no leadership if that leader doesn't even understand or doesn't even collaborate with a lower level, because they're the
Yes.
powerhouse, whether we agree or not. They drive it. I'll
Love
stop.
it. I love it.
I'm getting too excited. I'm getting really.
We're going to have a real class here today, folks. So hang in with us. It's going to be awesome.
Amazing. And like Effie shared, collaboration is really the key to success, because when it comes to implementing strategic initiatives, you need buy-in from everyone. You need buy-in from the sponsors paying for it. You also need buy-in from the people that are actually doing the work, as well as the managers. And so there is something we talk about in project management, where we say make sure that all your key subject matter experts are sitting on the table. If not, that
Mm.
project is futile. You would just be turning around in circles. And so when it comes to the collaboration space, whether it's project management, whether it's IT, whatever industry, it is really critical because you cannot just read the data and say you want to move the needle and reduce the time the patient takes to see the doctor, right? It has to do
Right.
with the registration person that sees the patient. It has to do with the EMS that probably brought the patient in. It has to do with the security that made sure the patient was cleared to enter the hospital. It has to do with the nurse. It has to do with even the environmental people, the cleaners, right? The janitors. If
Right.
everything is not in place and everybody is not doing their own part, then the success becomes really difficult. And
Yes.
so when we talk about strategic initiatives, collaboration is actually at the center because you will not have that success. You will not eliminate all those bottlenecks and inefficiencies without empowering everybody to be able to do their part.
So agree with that.
Wow.
Yes. Dr. Madison.
Yeah. So let me preface this by saying that I lead an organization which, in the last 7 years, has trained leaders, about 15,000 plus leaders in over 55 countries of the world. Now, how could you possibly do this without collaboration? Like, there is just no way on earth
Right.
that you can do that without collaboration. So I believe that collaboration actually just begins when you realize that you you alone are too insignificant to really make great things happen, right? When
Exactly.
you realize that you need others in order to work together for greater outcomes. And so for us at Lead Missions International, it began when I had this thing in my heart that I wanted to reach leaders around the world, to train them and to elevate their level of leadership so that with that knowledge they could also elevate their organizations, elevate their the companies that they are serving. And so it was clear to me, number one, that I was inadequate myself, right? And I knew that no matter how many people I get on board, they might be inadequate. So we started one after the other getting other people say, this is what I have, is there anything you can help me with this? And we started an organization that was made up of people who didn't really know what leadership was all about, but were passionate about really understanding leadership and really taking leadership to the rest of the world. Because I come from Africa, and I argue that Africa's problem is leadership. Because it's not because we don't have human resources. We sit on 1.2 billion people or population in the world. It's not because we don't have natural resources. We sit on 1/5 of all of the world's natural resources. And
Mm.
so I argue that the thing is leadership. Leadership is that center that makes everything else to hold together. And so, by participating in building leadership in communities, I believe that we are sowing seeds that would make communities thrive and organizations thrive. And so, collaboration is always something that we do. Mark talked about a while ago how we are collaborating with Women in Data Science organization, which she is part of. Why? Because we thought, we wanted to bring someone on board that is, literally dealing with the current topic of the 21st century, like the most current topic of the 10 trends that would influence and impact
Mm.
the world in 2024. Forbes magazine said that, artificial intelligence was number one, and so bringing an organization like hers, bringing the expertise of people like her, and being able to showcase that to an entire nation of Cameroon in Central Africa, we thought that could be a way to contributing to helping the community think about not only becoming technology savvy, but taking leadership in the area of artificial intelligence, data science that is able to move the community forward. Doing all of that will be impossible, but that I work with her, then I'm working with local communities, in Cameroon. We're working with organizations that are data science based. We're working with organizations that have no business with data science because they need to know about how that will affect them in their own lives, and putting communities around this common vision of leadership.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Dr. Meg, your thoughts?
I'm really happy that Dr. Madison Gafeson brought that up because, again, just to show you the power of collaboration, he has this vehicle already established in Central Africa. And so there was no need for me to be struggling to rebuild or reinvent the wheel. And so just
Mhm.
networking and collaborating with him, we have been able to secure a good a great location, excellent speakers, and everyone. I mean, the registration for the Women in Data Science drove to 91 in under days. Now we are actually a little bit scared that the rooms that we secured may not even be enough because as
What a
we
great problem to have.
yeah, as we started doing, Facebook Lives and webinars just to explain, some people had the notion of, no, I must be an expert in math. And we are like, no. Women in Data Science Global, which I was appointed the ambassador to Cameroon, we just want to take these and put it in the hands, put tools in the hands of women on the streets so they can be able to either use that, leverage that data to make important and insightful decisions, either for their businesses or for other organizations that they're working for. And then as they grow in that data science space, they can now be able to offer their services, whether as an employee to international organizations, or be able to even open their own consulting firms. And
Yeah.
so one of the key services that we provide at Elim Technologies is data analytics. And I don't only provide the analysis of the data. I like to make sure that it's providing quality insight so that companies can take the right decision and take it fast. Because sometimes if you just have a data analyst that doesn't understand the aspect of time, then you take the wrong decision or take the right decision at the wrong time. And so just working together, liaising with all of these executives, liaising with companies like Lead Missions International, and EA Consulting, which is Effie's company,
Hmm.
that just spreads my footprint a lot wider than if I had to carry that vehicle by myself.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
think that, when we work together, we achieve, better results, in a shorter amount of time, and
Yes.
we actually add more value than we could ever do. Now, what Mac does is something that I would, again, women in data science. So I'm not a woman. So to begin with, I would not even be part of that, right?
No.
So that's the power of collaboration, is that you get to get someone who already is an expert in what they are doing in something you would never do, or you can, arenas that you could not go to, and then you get to work with them and bring them in, and then they get to do something that is meaningful and that can transform a community. Matt, you might not know this, but I've been in the last weekend, I've been talking to leaders in Cameroon, and each time I talk to any leader, no matter who he was, they could be a religious leader, they could be a political leader, they could be whatever. This is one answer that I found common among them: is I need to come there to really understand about this artificial intelligence thing myself. So
Mhm.
I'm going to get my son, I'm going to talk to my people, I'm going to talk to my organization, but I'm going to come myself, And in fact, someone was even trying to ask me, can I come myself? Or I just need to pass it down to my organization. I said, no, you can come yourself. In fact, it's for everybody. And then some kept asking, now you talked about women in data science. Is it only the women that can come, or can men also come to the place? And I said, well, the interesting thing is men can come. So um, it's amazing how when we open the doors for collaboration, it's amazing how that the possibilities open and people begin
Yes.
to feel like they can become part of something. And so we have a conversation started. This conversation about this emerging technology that is taking the world by storm. We have a conversation with moms and and dads with their children as to what does this mean for us as a family. What does this mean for Cameroon as a nation, as a developing country
Yes.
that has limited resources? What does this have to do? But it takes the collaboration of all of these different people. By the way, even talking about the people that will be at the data science conference, right? Mag brought a group of experts that would want to be at the conference. I also invited some of my my good friends. Some of them are in different countries. We have about 3 countries represented, just to collaborate. Yeah, make sure that we get the best that we can have, and so that
Nice.
discussion can be started. Collaboration is everything.
Yeah, so I'll add on to what Dr. Gaffson said about leadership. So it's not just about leadership, but a proper leader, a good leader would have to utilize the power of collaboration, right?
Yes.
This is not just in Africa. I'm going to say it's also a problem here in the Western world. Most people or some leaders, most leaders, for them is about power,
Mm-hmm.
about what I can use my power to do. It's about how I can be seen. It's about where I can take this company to be recognized. It's not about collaboration. It's all about them, right?
Yes.
And then there's also some of it is also being driven by, I'm sorry, a political, you know, on
Mm-hmm.
political gains, right? So like for us in the she's laughing, for us in the energy industry, right? Our policies are not open yet. They're not very welcoming to clean energy. And that could be the government policies and regulations. Some of them are really, we're not really there. The framework
Yeah.
is not really there as compared to some European countries, as compared to
Right.
China. So I'll tell you, it's not just because we cannot be there. This is America. We know America. But this is also because of some people's personal gain, some lobbyists,
Mm-hmm.
investors, right? Investors that have already been in the game are worried. What if I open the door for new investors to come in with the innovative ideas and technology? Then we get kicked out. Then there's so much market, there's so much competition, and they don't want that, right? So
Right.
they do everything to prevent that. And some, there's just that understanding, trying to collaborate with others, it's just hard. So that
Right.
power of collaboration is very important. It's very important for industries to understand that it's not a silo game.
Yeah.
We all
And
have to work together to get to one goal. And that's
and
why
that trend. Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead. Please continue.
yeah, that's why the SDG, the Sustainability Development Goals are really important. If we do understand them, if we read through all those goals, you would understand that it's bringing everything together. What's your
Yes.
piece? What can you piece in? Almost every company has a sustainability vice president, director, but I tell you the truth, if you ask them what are they doing, they don't know. What is sustainability? They don't understand. It's just like diversity, right? I'm not going there. So they don't understand, they don't know, they cannot really explain themselves. But if they learn to collaborate, share knowledge, right? And many other forms of collaboration, you'd see would reduce that gap and we'll all be better company or will be better industries in our different areas. So
Yes.
leadership needs that power of collaboration to make it work.
Yes. I agree. And the thought that I had as you were saying that, Effie, was everything you just said can be applied to one organization as well, to one company. Any company can struggle with those same areas, and if there's not collaboration within the company, then you get those silos, you get all of those same things that you were just talking about. So whether we're talking about individual companies or we're talking about communities, with commonalities, things that bring that community together. It's the same situation.
It is everywhere. It's so
It is.
surprising how sitting in a room of different people from different industries, when they talk, there's one common problem you hear: leadership, lack of collaboration.
Yes.
And it spreads out in different direction. Leadership, there's lack of collaboration, there's lack of knowledge, there's lack of, it's just so many things, but under one umbrella.
Yeah.
Wow. Effie, it's interesting how you said that, because someone once said, I have gaps, you have gaps. Together, we have no gap.
That's right.
Yes.
How easy
Yes.
can that be? You see, because there's always something I don't know. And there's
Right.
always something that unless you tell me, I will have no clue about. But it's through collaboration that we fill all of our gaps.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that one of the things, as I work with leaders, one of the things that I try to help us dismiss is this concept where we believe that we are sufficient on our own. And I put it this way, with one exception, the rest of the world is made up of others. With
Yes.
one miserable exception. The rest of the world is made up of others. So we have to be others thinking,
Mhm.
because that is what the world is made up of.
Right.
In other words, and if we are others thinking, it means we are inviting others to come into our space, to investigate our space, to provide feedback about our space. And when they come, they are coming with something that might be different from what we already have or what we already know.
Right.
But what they have to say could be everything.
Amen.
Yes.
That's right. With my team, when I join a new team, the first thing I say to them is, I come with my own knowledge, but you all have more knowledge than I do. If I don't learn anything from you, then I'm wasting my time. If you don't learn anything from me, you're wasting your time. So how do I start? I always start by saying, can you educate me? Even if I have an idea of what's going on, please educate me. I'm going to learn something from whatever you say. And everybody brings a piece. So I always fold my sleeves and I go, okay, I may be your leader here, but this is how I play it. I'm rolling my sleeves and we're digging in together. You fall
Yes.
in a hole, we're going to drag each other out, which means you bring your knowledge, I bring mine. There is no, if you think you know too much, you should be dead. 'Cause you shouldn't know everything, you know what I mean? You should be able to have room for some knowledge or absorption. So in my team, if there is one person who acts like, oh, I know it, I got a problem with you. And my problem is you know too damn much, you should be dead. You should have room for growth, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
most of our leaders, they come with that front of, I know too much, and then that's where it all ends. Because there's no room. If you know too much, then we cannot collaborate, we cannot share knowledge, we can't do anything. You just know too damn much.
Yeah.
How can I even express myself? How can I even bring something new to the table? And so, and then if you look deep inside, there is an issue. You
Yes.
know, they have their own personal thing. Why don't you see, there's no shame in learning. There's no shame in failing. For me, this is what I say. If I fail, I'm not staying down. Watch me. If I stay down, that's a problem. I'm going to wake up. I don't care how many times I fall, it's how I wake up. That's what matters. And how you wake up would have a lot to do with collaborating with other people. What have you learned? How can you get what you need? You cannot get it by yourself, just like Madison said. You have to work with other people. You have to collaborate. You have to get from different places and then bring it together. So if you don't have that sense of it, you need to go somewhere that you can learn to do it.
We are getting just a little bit of feedback, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. So we might want to mute ourselves while someone else is speaking, and that way, if it's coming from us, it will stop it.
Absolutely, yes. And I totally agree to that because as a leader, for example, in the project management space, one thing they would always say is your goal as a project manager and a successful project manager is not being an expert in the industry. Is being an expert in providing a platform where all the subject matters can collaborate and communicate effectively. And so, for you to say you have completed your job and done it well, they would look at how the communication was, whether it's top down, vertical, horizontal, and then they will look at how well were people able to collaborate. Were people able to see in real time how the project is progressing so they can know how their value, the added value they are bringing, is actually contributing to the outcomes. And so, as Effie said, it becomes really critical because you know that your little pie moves the needle. And it's also very encouraging and motivating when the whole team is able to see the big picture and see how their own little slice of the pie is actually adding to the big picture. And so, for maybe an organization producing a product, even the person that is doing maybe writing, let's say it's a food product, the person writing the ingredients for the packaging, the person designing the packaging, the person making sure that the packaging and size is right, and even up to the person doing distribution. And so you have that front end and back end, everybody plays an important role in that whole supply chain to make sure that the outcomes are exactly aligned with the goals of the organization. And so that whole pipeline will not even exist. Like Effie said, it will be silos and it will take longer. For example, in the DevOps space in IT, before the coders will code, and then they would pass it on to the quality assurance people. They will check that there's any errors. If there's no errors, then they pass it on to maybe the people that will deploy the code and then pass it on to the testers. And in some cases, it will take 6 months to a year to be able to build an application and deploy it. But now it takes a matter of hours to be able to go from code to deployment because of that collaboration. And because the collaboration is there and that automation is there, the pipeline goes through seamlessly, and so we don't experience all of those bottlenecks. And even look at the healthcare space today with all the innovative technologies. Now there is hospital at home, which means you cannot only be admitted in the hospital, you can be admitted in the comfort of your home. And so maybe all the family members that had to come to the hospital and keep cycling themselves, two people at a time, everybody is there to provide you with that love, care, and support, which actually speeds up your healing. Right. And so, with all of these new innovative technologies, whether it's wearables, whether it's telemedicine, hospital at home, all of these have been built with collaboration. And the success that the healthcare space or the IT space or other industries, we've heard from Effie, we've heard from Dr. Ngafison, all of these successes are because they are laying on the bedrock of collaboration. And so I see this topic is really, really exciting. I mean, I would drop it here for now and let I think Dr. Ngafisi was about to say something.
Yeah. So I was about to say this because we have been highlighting some of the issues that we have in our organizations and in what we do due to the lack of collaboration or the importance of collaboration. Now, I'm just wondering that somebody might be listening to us now. They might be saying, well, so where do I start? I want to be a collaborator. I want to collaborate. So where do you start? So I want to say just something a mind frame that has helped me as a person, as an individual, as a leader, be able to collaborate effectively. Number one is that I look at everyone that I meet and I put a 10 on their face, a 10 on 10. So when I look at Effie, I see a 1, 0, 10 on 10. Right? I look at Mark, so I place value on people. I look at you, Regina, you are a 10 on 10. So when you see people as valuable, then there is probability that you may want to collaborate with them because they are valuable and you want that value. You know that doesn't completely rest in and on you. So you need them. Because but when you see people like a 0 on 10, collaboration goes out the window right there.
Yes.
You know, so here, here is the assumption I have about everybody. I have an assumption that they are a 10 on 10 in one area that they are relevant. They might not be in every area. I'm not, nobody is. So they are a 10 on 10. So my job is to find out how useful they might be to me if I wanted to collaborate with them. You see, so I put a 10 on everybody. So the best way to start your collaboration journey is just to know whether it's the person you pass by the street. They might help you and be at maybe your gate man, or they might be your security officer, or whatever you think, but they are useful somehow. They are useful to you. I remember Dr. Magbor was talking about how, you know, basically if you trace a patient, when they come, they are at the gate maybe before they enter the premises, and they are let in, and the people, the touch points till they get to the doctor and get back home. Different people with different kinds of skills. And all of these people are not the same. You know, some know a lot of, health, some know zero about healthcare. But all of them are part of the touch points that you have to have. So put a 10 on everybody and just ask yourself, do I need the 10 in my organization or what I'm doing, right? Second thing is I learned something called the law of the 101% rule. Okay. The 101% rule says, because this is how the ordinary person looks at. They say, well, what do Effie and I have in common? And then the answer is not much. So guess what they do? So they say, I don't need her.
Exactly.
They move on. But the 1% rule says this. It says, look for the 1% that you agree with Effie, for instance.
Right.
And once you have found that 1% of agreement, it's called the law of common ground. Once you have found that 1% agreement, give your 100% to that 1%.
Amen. I agree.
The 101% rule. So that is how we really build collaboration, because you don't need somebody who agrees with you 99.999% of the time to collaborate with. All you need is 1% that is useful to your company. And you ask yourself, if this 1% would make my company great, if this 1% would make my life great, then I'm going to work with this person and give my 100% to that 1%, and then grow significance out of it. So I would say, number one, put a 10 on everybody. Number two, use the 101% rule. It helps all the time. And then, just lastly, I would just say that understand that it takes more than one to be significant. You can be successful as one person, but you can never be significant as one person. Yes. You will always need some person, some organization, some other human being that will make what you are doing significant. And by the way, significance actually means we are impacting other people. So how could we be alone and then have that much impact if we are not dealing with other people? So these are just some things, some tips that I thought maybe we could just throw out there if somebody is thinking about how do I collaborate.
Wonderful. What a great note to finish on. We're out of time.
Fantastic.
This has been wonderful, wonderful. So I knew this would be a great conversation. Dr. Mag, we are going to start our roundup now, our wrap-up round. And would you please run that and have everyone share, including yourself, their final thoughts on collaboration and their contact information?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Regina. This has really been a phenomenal conversation. And I actually thought I was coming to discuss, but I am leaving with even more knowledge. I'm leaving with so much knowledge I am going to implement, and I can see how that will move my needle. And so for you viewers, I am saying, I hope you came with your notes, your notebook and your pen. If not, do a rewatch and take notes. Because these germs, these nuggets that were shared here have the potential to move your needle and have the potential to improve the value you provide, whether for your customers or your organization. And so this topic of collaboration captures everything if you can understand it and just follow the steps Dr. Madison shared to have a starting point. I guarantee you, you would end up using all of this knowledge to be able to provide more value. And so my contacts on my LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. My company is Elim Technologies, and let us see how we can collaborate to move your needle and provide you with better outcomes. And I will pass it on to Effie.
So, thank you so much for bringing me here. I really appreciate it, and I hope whatever I said would get into some ears, right? So, collaboration again is very important in every industry, and it's not just industry, not within the industry. It could also be without. So, oil and gas, collaborating with with hospitals or with IT companies. There's some form of knowledge that can be shared and will be important. And I'll still stand on my number one point: education. We need to be educated. We need to educate our leaders. We need to educate our employees. Everybody needs to be educated on how we can do that collaboration. Like Dr. Matt Ngafison said, you just get that one ear. Sometimes you might not even get the one ear, but you know what you have is very important. You just keep going. And I'm telling you, somebody will hear. That's my motto. I don't know if you're going to hear. This is what I'm trying to do, and I'm just going to keep going until somebody stops me and says, "What are you really saying?" So I think we should all find a way of collaborating. And if we want to collaborate, just keep going. Find someone who can listen. Find someone who can help you, or someone who can add to what you know, what you're trying to do. It will help move the needle.
Absolutely.
I
Thank
would
you so
just,
much, Effie. And last but not least, Dr. Madison Gafeson.
yeah, thank you very much. I think that I would just close by saying this. You know what? I have gaps. You have gaps. Together, we have no gaps. How wonderful is that? And if you want to have no gaps in your organization, collaborate. If you have to have no gaps in your plans and your projects, collaborate, because those people you bring in tactically and strategically, they can fill those gaps for you. And then you have a more wholesome, holistic organization that is able to achieve their aims. You can get me on LinkedIn. I think I have my LinkedIn profile right there. And I'll be more than glad to connect with any and anyone that is interested. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Effie, did you tell folks your contact information? I'm not sure we heard you say
Oh,
that.
no, I didn't, but I'm also on LinkedIn. You can and have my email there. I have my LinkedIn profile. And you can find me on Amazon too. I do have a book there, so you can find me in many places.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's what I forgot to mention. These are all authors as well. So I am the
Very
author
good.
of the upcoming book, um, an award-winning book, not even upcoming, award-winning, the book on DevOps. And if everybody could just quickly say what book they have written, it's out there in Amazon.
Oh,
Excellent.
Yeah.
so I wrote a book on it's more power, inner power. It's shaken, broken, but not tormented. Shaken, tormented, but not broken, right? So it's more my story of what I've been through, and I keep telling everybody, "You're not God. You can't break me. I don't care what you do. You can shake me, you can torment me, but I'm not going to break." So it's not just me. I think I want everybody to know that we all cannot break if you don't let them break you. So that's my book. It was
Good.
also a winner
Excellent.
on Amazon.
Okay. My book is The Day Before Tomorrow: How to Make
Ah,
Today. And it's available on thedaybeforetomorrow.store. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, folks. Dr. Mag, great job in bringing amazing panelists. This has been a wonderful discussion. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. And I know we could go on for some length of time. Thank you for agreeing to be my co-host today. I very much appreciate that.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. And I hope that you, our listeners, got a lot out of this. You've got contact information for everybody. Be sure and reach out to them if you've got some questions or would like to continue the conversation with them, learn more about them, check out their books on Amazon. And we hope you'll join us again next time here on Collaboration Conversations. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.